We don't have
I
to start
thought
now. I just clicked it.
that's fine. That's okay. I mean, I feel like we might as well.
Yeah,
When we're here now, we're ready. We're vibing. We're Bazballing. Are we all right?
kinda.
Kind of. Welcome back, I guess, to Just Not Crick Pod. We're reviewing the first test in the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy.
I,
Do you see that happen?
yeah, I saw that happen. I thought you said Anson Tendulkar
I mean,
trophy, and I thought you were
it's
getting really
only
ahead of yourself.
it's only a matter of time.
Which
So we're going to be
which
reviewing.
time though,
Uh,
and which line? Because it's not this one.
maybe in another universe, who knows? But okay, the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy.
Mhm.
Here we are. We're reviewing the first test where England won by 5 wickets. Jamie, simple question to you. Is this going to be 5-0?
No,
No?
no.
How so? I mean, I feel like
End the
I'm,
pod.
yeah,
That's
that's
the
it.
discussion.
That's the discussion done. I just want to like chuck out a line because I feel like this game
What
will
kind of line? I don't think we're
a
that kind of.
fishing
I
line.
think YouTube would
Fine.
just completely strip us apart if we did a line.
True, true. I mean, we could. I mean, we'll see. Straight lines.
When we're in our
Line and
mukbang
length.
days,
Line,
yeah,
line and length.
yeah.
A good line. Um, so I, because I mean, we'll maybe discuss the game in detail.
Meh.
India, as we all well know, have no Kohli, have no Rohit Sharma, have no Ashwin for this series. New captain, and a bowling attack in very much carried by Bumrah. I feel kind of very much in the same way that Root carried England's batting
Mhm.
a few years ago. In that one of them is an all-time great, and the rest are just kind of there. This game, they had plenty of opportunity. They were 430 for three in the first innings. I mean, that's been battled around a lot,
Mhm.
and they ended up losing the game. I don't see them. I mean, of course they will. They'll probably end up winning the series, but I just feel like they're not going to get probably as good an opportunity to win a game in England with the English conditions as they are and the way England play. Because I feel as though England didn't really turn up on day one, and I feel like they didn't bowl their best pretty much throughout the entire game, but still got a result. And you've looking at like the likes of our close personal friend Gus Atkinson coming in, um, Mark Wood probably for the final game, Jofra is back bowling. Um, and it just feels like England's bowling is probably only going to get better from this game, and I feel like they did okay as they got into the groove. They started to lick it up a bit, but uh, I just feel as though like it's. I struggle to see how where India go from here, where they've had a game where they've had 5 different batters score centuries, or they've had 5 centuries, Pant scoring 2 of them, and Bumrah getting a fifer, and they haven't won the game. And I think the stat is that no team has ever lost a game before where they've had a team that scored 5 centuries over the game. So I'm just a bit like, what's going to happen here? Do you want to put your prophecy hat on?
Okay, we're putting my prophecy hat on, but bearing in mind this isn't related to Aiden Markram, so who knows how that's going to go.
Hmm.
Like, I've seen some discussion from India fans on Reddit, and they're talking about how Krishna and Thakur aren't going to be their best bowlers anyway. They're not part of the best bowling lineup.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else is in the squad. I'm not sure if Shami's around, but
So
you would.
Shami's not in the squad, no.
Okay, well, that kind of fits the pattern for India not picking good players when they need them around. Um, but I don't think there will be much change when Thakur or Krishna goes out. That will be their best opportunity when one of those are rotated. But there's a lot of talk of Bumrah only playing 3 tests.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus.
And you know, if they're as flat as they were with the ball with Bumrah,
Yeah.
then they're not going
Yeah.
to get anywhere near if
No.
they don't even have him in the side.
Yeah.
And that's to say, I don't think India were especially bad.
No,
I
I don't
think
think
we
so.
can look at India's, what was it, you said 430 for three
430 for three.
and then
Yeah.
470 all out. They still had a lead after that first innings.
I think it
They
was eight, wasn't it?
It's something
Yeah.
like that, but still a lead. They
Yeah.
both teams had a comparative score.
Yeah.
So we can look at the tail end of India and say they should be scoring a bit more runs. And
Hmm.
that's fair,
Yeah.
but England scored a similar amount of runs. It's just
Hmm.
they were spread out a bit more.
Yeah.
There's no, which one would you prefer? The higher score. India got the higher score. So
Yeah.
there isn't a right scenario in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't think England bowled much better than India did.
I don't know, they bowled really well at all. And that, especially in that first day, I thought they
Yeah.
were probably the worst I've seen an England side bowl in a little while, apart from Stokes and a little bit of Cass.
Yeah, and I think it's basically the whole consensus that Stokes made a mistake in the toss and that England should have been batting first, as is evidenced by India's score.
But he
And
would
if,
say, I mean, he has said since that, I mean, Test matches are played over 5 days, and they won this game with I think it was 12 overs to spare.
sure, but you can still look back on a win and mistakes that you've made during that win.
Yeah,
And I think England can be a bit too focused on we're the chasey team. We always chase it down.
yeah,
I don't know. There seems to be a lack of looking at the pitch and conditions and being like, this is the better thing to do, as
yeah,
opposed to this is what we always do no matter what.
yeah,
And that could have cost them if India were just a tiny bit better.
yeah.
But
I
they weren't.
mean,
But like,
no,
I don't think there was a massive difference between the two teams.
no.
India's batsmen scored more hundreds around. I think England's batsmen scored more across the whole team.
Hmm.
All of the bowlers did okay. I think Bumrah was the only one who got a fifer in the game.
Yeah, and bowled really like the balls that he got for Zach Crawley in that first innings were just ridiculous.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
think
he's yeah,
I think the main difference was the catching.
yeah,
And I'm not
kind of bad on
saying
both sides.
yeah, but I think India was slightly worse, especially in that fourth
Yeah,
innings.
yeah.
They dropped Duckett twice on 97 as
Yeah,
well,
I
I
remember
think.
the 97. There was also, and not just a catch, but there was a piece of fielding, I don't know if you saw, which when Root and Stokes were batting and Root kind of bunted it down to mid on
Hmm.
and Shardul Kaur misfielded it and then just sort of like lay on his backside
Yeah.
rather than chasing the ball.
Hmm.
And it's sort of like Jadeja just having an absolute go at him. And you can understand it's sort of like, what are you doing? And there's
Yeah.
other misfields and ones that bounce. It just felt like not the India team that we've been used to for like the last 5 or 6 years. It felt like something got Jadeja's bowling as well was a bit poor in the fact that I think Mark Butcher covered it at first, that he wasn't bowling into the rough to like duck it. And it took him until Stokes came in to start doing that. And it was just very weird. It also felt quite leaderless. I know it's Gill's first game, so you can't really judge that. But you look at any other team, should know, or you should be able to pinpoint who's the captain. And I don't feel as though you could necessarily say that Gill was that focal point in that team. But it's his first game, so I think you can't be too critical. But yeah, yeah, it's a funny old game. The drops, if all those catches had been taken across both innings, I don't think it would have gone for 5 days. There was miss stumping as well from Jamie Smith off Pant, and I think in the first or second innings off
Yeah.
Bashir, when he wasn't on that. I think he's on about 40-50 maybe, so that suddenly changed the game. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think across both innings, the lower end batters for India, I can't remember. I think it's from eight onwards, scored I think about 8 runs across the two innings, which is going to not help you at all. So it was 6 for 30 in the second innings and about 6 for similar in the first. But like you say, when you score 471, that should still put you out and about. But I think in terms of an England win, and this is their second highest run chase, and it's right up there in the kind of records. I think it's the 10th highest of all time. but we're not a stats podcast, so
No.
don't judge me if that's wrong. Um, but just off vibes, I kind of watched the first session and just thought, well, we're doing this.
Yeah.
I had zero doubts, and it wasn't that they were playing particularly aggressively. I think they only went about 2-0 in the first hour. There was only three sixes, and two of those came in the last over. It wasn't hell for leather smashing it all out. It was just calm, calculated. Michael Vaughan's called it Bazball with a brain. But I think I think it's a bit more like it's nicer than that. The way this kind of team has matured in the way that I feel like they had to set the trend, whatever it was 2 years ago, by going, we're going to play, in my own terms, smashy smash, in the mentality that we're going to play with this kind of freedom and we're going to play with a sense it doesn't matter if you get caught on the boundary, next time hit it for six, go out and play your own way. We're going to be playing to win. We're not ever going to be playing for draws. The amount of people I had message me saying like, "Oh, it's going to be a draw tomorrow, isn't it?" I'm like, and they're never going to be playing for the draw. Like, what? That's going to be so far removed from the side. Even though they're chasing 500, they'd be going for it. But it's just the way of this game, they just kind of buckle down. They've taken that mentality of this team from before and just kind of tuned it in a way that isn't reckless, but just looked calm and self-assured for the entire innings, I thought.
It is the natural evolution of Bazball, if you want to be buzzwordy and pithy about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That should have come from England, I think sooner than it has done.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think we have to be skeptical still that this wasn't just because of India's bowling attack,
Yeah.
the pitch, and just like the it just didn't. It was a very high scoring game. It was
Yeah.
very much a roller coaster, but I wouldn't say it was as exciting or as flashy or as fireworks going off
Yeah. No, I agree.
everywhere,
Yeah.
even in the same sort of sense as the Test Championship final. Like that had
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
a buzz about it. I know it's the fucking final of the format, but like there was, yeah, just that sort of electricity to that game.
Yeah. No,
Whereas
I
this,
agree.
this just sort of felt like it was moving along slowly. Oh, India have got a big score. Oh, England have got a big
Yeah.
score. Oh, India have got a score. They should defend, but there's something telling you that it's kind of around par
Yeah.
for a chase, even though it's one of the highest run
Yeah.
chases
It's
ever. It, it feels like a weird anomaly of a game in that all the scores were so high, but it felt achievable,
yeah.
and it was seemingly very not simple, but assured
Yeah.
and calm, which is
Yeah.
not very Bazball.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, and it's like, Root being like out 53 off 84 is just like, well, of course he was. Like, it's just,
It's a proper test match numbers, aren't they? It's
yeah,
not stupid 90 off 80 or
yeah,
something like that. Like
yeah, yeah.
it,
Crawley as well, 65 off
yeah.
126. It's nothing too crazy. Like Stokes came in and tried to dig in Brazil for a bit. What I thought they did really well, this is just nerdy cricket chat, but in fact, when Bumrah came on, because the way that they had played and they were so far ahead of the game in terms of the run chase, they only had to go at 4-0 in the last day.
Mhm.
The fact that when Bumrah came on, they had to take zero risks. It was just like, we'll just see out this spell. He
Mhm.
might go for 10 in this 4 overs. And then as soon as I think it was Krishna came on next over, suddenly Stokes is running down a wicket and smashing him for four.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that kind of game awareness where I feel like in previous years, if you think of like Root against Cummins at Edgbaston, like first ball of the day, suddenly like trying to ramp him. I think it's just evolved to the sense of like, no,
Mhm.
Bumrah is the best bowler. See him out. You can attack the rest because,
Yeah.
Bumrah is carrying the side. So yeah, but I do agree. I felt like it didn't have that sense of electricity as some of their crazy chases have done. But maybe just because it felt so expected. I don't know.
But like even expected is a weird thing to say when you're chasing down
I know, it's bizarre. It's a weird thing.
370 odd. It's
Yeah.
yeah. But like counter to England's sort of calmness, I
Mm.
feel even though India still batted really well,
Yeah,
there
we'll talk
was a
about some backs
bit
soon.
of dodgy freneticism about it, especially with
Yeah.
Pants innings, which were mad good. But like,
Yeah.
there was one of his, oh, what were the commentators calling it? His fall over ramps or whatever, his falling sweeps or
Yeah.
whatever they've called them, where I can't remember if England reviewed it for LBW, but it was a very, you got no bat on that, mate. It was,
I can't remember. I can't remember which one. I remember him falling over a lot. And, but I mean, we'll touch on the batting, I guess. I guess. Um, so Patton got 200 in the game.
Mhm.
I have seen some chats from it was journalist George DeBell saying that there's kind of a difference between the milestones in this game. So it came to like when in that second innings, if Pant had been kind of smashing Bashir suddenly from nowhere, he got to 50 and suddenly was like, I'm going to back everything. And then suddenly he got to 90 and then he took about 20 balls to get to the 100 and he suddenly felt like, are you playing for the milestone here or are you playing for the team? I don't know if necessarily I agree with that, but I thought that was just an interesting observation. But in terms of just, I think he's the first Indian batter to get 200 in a test match against England. I think maybe it's better stat than that. I think he's potentially got the most for an Indian wicketkeeper overseas. Again, we're not a stats podcast. I could be making that stat up. But watching Pant bat is, I think, just an absolute joy. I think he's definitely one of the best players in the world, and especially after that car crash and everything, to come back the way he is just, incredible. And as a vice captain as well, he's got that added kind of sense of responsibility, and I think that's showcased brilliantly. And he just plays some absolutely mad shots. But yeah, you just wonder, I guess, in terms of the game situation as well. He got out to Bashir, who I thought bowled all right in the game. But that was at a time where they were 287 for four and ended up being 364 all out. If they'd had another hour of pant batting, is the game out of reach? Was that a risk necessary at that time? I don't know. I feel like I end up contradicting myself millions of times in that, but it's tricky.
I think that's just sort of the dilemma and blessing of having Rishabh Pant. It's like
Yeah.
y- you just got to let him play, and
Hmm.
sometimes he won't score anything, but a
Yeah.
lot of the times he will score really high scores and
Yeah.
very quickly.
Hmm.
These were probably a bit slower
Yeah.
in terms of like strike rate than his usual knocks.
I mean, he went at 75 in the first innings and second innings at 84.
Okay, so still for a test match, a good pace,
Yeah.
but they didn't feel as sort of explosive
It
as
really felt
Pant.
like he was holding himself back, I felt, until certain
Yeah,
points, and then he went.
so I think like potentially that's where that journalist was coming from. Like maybe it was a conscious thing from Pant
Mm,
that he was trying to sort of make the game a bit longer or bat as
yeah.
long as he could. So England didn't have as much time to chase.
Yeah.
Um,
It did feel a bit, this is not
but
about
like,
Pant. Sorry, sorry.
no,
So go on.
but like, I don't know. I don't think I had a point. I was just rambling, to be
Just
honest.
mumbling. But I mean, yeah, I think that there was that second innings again from India where I felt like they didn't really know whether to stick or twist. Like Pant got out and it kind of felt as though, do we attack here or do we try and bat out longer? And then it suddenly ended up being kind of neither. And then Tongue got 3 wickets in an over, and suddenly they were nowhere. And suddenly the game's open for England to take. And that's what I think England did very well in the fact that they always stayed in the game. After they were ended that first day and they were 430 for free at one stage, after they kind of made those breakthroughs, it always felt like they were always just in the game. Like in that second innings of India, even though Rahul and Pant were batting brilliantly, it always felt as though they had one kind of hand on the run rate to be like, you're not getting too far ahead. I thought Wokes came back into the game a bit better. He's bowled better in the second innings. I thought Cast was actually very good in the second innings compared to first innings as much. Tongue with those kind of tail ender wickets. And then just Bashir as well. He's got an awful lot of flack. And I don't necessarily think it's fair. I thought he's bowled, against a team which is going to be excellent against spin. And he ended up with 3 wickets in the game, I think it was. I think it's about three for 180 odd. It might have been more than that. Again, we're not stats. But I felt like he had decent line and lengths, decent control. Felt like he had a good kind of set plan, especially the pants where he was trying to like toss it out wide and slower a few times. Like I said earlier, he had a missed stumping, which Jamie Smith missed, not Jamie White. Um, and I thought he did all right, and I don't think necessarily he had the numbers to show for it. But another day he might end up with 4 or 5 wickets instead. And I think some of the criticism he's faced has been a bit unfair. There's been comments that, well, maybe India were just milking him rather than actually attacking him. But I thought he did all right. Maybe that's just me.
And I think you have to also look at it as like, is he actually test match quality for a spinner?
Hmm. Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But then
But could he be?
could like, I think if you like no, I don't think he will be a good
Hmm.
test match spinner in the long term, but he's not a bad one.
Yeah.
And like England don't have a lot of other choices. You'd probably be going back to Leach if
Liam
you did.
Dawson.
Yeah. But like it's not his fault he's playing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree.
like he's doing what he can with his tool set.
Yeah.
He did all right against India, didn't
Didn't set
like
the world alight, but I thought he
no.
didn't let himself down either. Is my feeling. Like I think there was a worry. I also think from me and just generally everyone, I thought he could come into this going at like six and over for the entire game, and
Mhm,
then you not being able to bowl. But I think the fact that Stokes was able to, he bowled what 22 overs in the first innings, and what is that second innings? 22 overs in the second innings, and 27 in the first innings.
mhm.
So he was that kind of bowler that you just had bowling at an end, And I think he's only like 20, 21. And I think to be doing that against India, I think against like Pant as well
Mhm.
and Rahul, who's a brilliant player of spin, and Jaiswal, like fantastic players. I thought he did all right. We see how he goes. Um, just quickly note last things from India. We've already mentioned. I mean, Bumrah's just got five and was just brilliant. He's just the best bowler. Do you think Bumrah is the best of all time, or he's got a way to go yet?
I think it's unfair to label him as the best of all time. I
Yeah,
think it's weird to do that while players are
people are
still
playing.
playing.
No,
I
I
think
agree.
the only acceptable time that's ever been has been during Messi and Ronaldo's
Yeah,
tenure when they were just scoring 50 plus goals every season or
yeah,
just that mad spell for 10 plus years.
yeah,
But it's unfair on the players that have already completed their careers, say like Jimmy or Stain, McGrath, the West Indies bowlers of
yeah,
what's it, the 80s, like Curtly Ambrose and
yeah,
Mikey Holding. If you were making an all-time 11, would Bumrah get in? I don't think he would. I think you'd pick three other seamers ahead of him and Shane Warne and Jack Callis as a all-rounder.
yeah. I think, when he does eventually retire, I think, he will be one of the greats without doubt. I mean, his numbers are ridiculous and it feels like he gets wickets for fun. But I do agree. I think it's difficult to rate people when they're still playing. But I mean, I think he is a current great. Absolutely. I think he will
Is
go down as a great.
Yeah, is he the best bowler in the world right now? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd
Does
say, yeah.
does he get in every single format of a team
Yeah.
for each country? Yeah.
Yeah.
Should he
Yeah.
arguably be India's captain? Like he was the other choice over
Yeah, he was,
Gill.
yeah. He was vice captain before and he
Yeah.
captained Australia and stuff. And yeah.
I'm not saying he should be because the issue then becomes when they have to rest
Yeah.
Bumrah, you still need someone else to be captain, so you'd probably want someone to
Yeah.
be in the team constantly as opposed
Hmm.
to someone you need to rest and manage a bit
Yeah.
more.
I'll quickly just chuck his stats at you before we move on. He's now played 46 test matches. He's got 210 wickets, at an average of 19 and an economy rate of 2.7. It's pretty good.
That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, he does all right. But yeah, very quickly about the batting. Jaiswal got 101. Opening batting, you did very well against England in India as well, but kind of had a game to forget after that. Didn't get many in the second innings and then dropped about four catches, I think he was. So not a great time. Rahul, 42 in the first innings and then 100 in the second. I thought he batted really, really well. And then Gill, 100 on captaincy debut. I think on a very, very small list for Indian captains getting 100 on debut. I think it's four, maybe four or five. We're not a stats podcast. Um, but yeah, I mean, Gill runs are just they look great.
Mm,
Basically, I think they just look fantastic. So, I hope that he's able to kind of put more of a stamp onto this team moving forward. I don't know whether necessarily it's more changes or how India looks going forward. I think their last 10 Test matches, I think they've lost nine. I think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
They lost 3-0 at home to New Zealand. I think they lost four against Australia,
mhm,
or was it a draw? And they've lost this one. Maybe I'm missing one somewhere. Maybe it's less than that. But it feels like they're very much on a run of not good times.
yeah,
Um, and you kind of feel not necessarily you don't it's not necessarily the runs because Cody wasn't churning out loads and loads of runs in Test
mhm.
cricket, and I was Rohit in the last few games. But it does feel like you're missing a presence there, and it's just kind of filling that void. And whether Gill and Pant and the likes can fill that, so we'll see.
But that's fair. They're in a
Yeah,
new sort of era.
yeah,
Captain's first game. They're still. I think it's fair to just let them sort of grow into whatever roles they're going to
no,
grow into. Like you were just lifting off all of the hundreds they were scoring. I think that's
yeah,
a big reason why I think the criticism against India for this game has been a bit overblown. Like,
yeah,
what more could they have really done? They,
yeah. Yeah, you'd say that first innings they kind of did perfectly. And you have games where the tail is just going to be blown away. It happens all the time. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them going forward. I can't see them making many changes. I think Shardul Thakur has probably played his last game of the series. I know he got two wickets in the last innings, but I don't think they were necessarily good. So I imagine they might try and bring in Kuldeep and I think probably Harshit Rana as kind of a bowling all rounder.
Mhm,
We'll see. Just quickly again about England, I suppose. A few things being ticked off. So we spoke about on the pod before. Last time, Bethel was the big old talking point, and now I don't think we're going to be talking about Bethel for the rest of the series. So Pope got 100 in that first innings, which is kind of a very much a statement 100, I would say. Like I've not really seen him that animated when he's celebrated 100 before, and I feel like that a lot of that has been down to the chat behind the scenes. Any thoughts on the Pope runs?
I mean, yeah,
Cody runs?
you can't knock 100, really, can you?
No. Yeah, I mean, I mean, we love looking at stats whilst we're here. Let's have a look at his current test averages and stuff. So yeah, he's 27 now. He's played 57 tests, 3,400 runs, average of 35, and I think he averages 43 batting at three.
Mhm,
And the big question was, how is he going to fare against, a like of, Jasprit Bumrah? And I think in that first innings, he was very proactive. He batted really well. He rotated the strike a lot of Duckett, especially when you lose Crawley in that first over. You want your number three to come out and set an
mhm,
intent. And I think he did that really well.
yeah,
He's just got to keep that, and it's a kind of like a prolonged period of form now. I think there's a lot of series where Pope starts well and then falls away.
mhm.
So it's whether he can maintain that across the series. But it's a good start. He did what he had to do.
I think this game sort of sums up his test career in terms of
Yeah,
batting scores. It's
yeah,
either does really well
yeah.
or single figures, which is,
Feast or famine.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
That's kind of reflected by his average at three
I
as
think so.
well. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you just want him to be consistent. You want a number three to be solid, and
yeah,
if they're getting hundreds, great. But you, I think you would rather them average that 43 each innings
yeah.
rather than 101 eight the
A
nets.
massive, yeah, yeah.
But he
And I
did
think,
well. We're not going to talk about Bethel anymore because of him.
yeah.
I
And
think the
yeah,
caveat for the whole game and all of the batters that did get hundreds was like how much was the pitch a
true.
part of it? How much was it
Yeah,
with the bowlers just a bit average and
yeah.
off it? Not to knock any of the scores, but we'll
You
probably
got
see in the
scores and
next
everything.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're going to prepare similar wickets across this series, and the weather at the moment is very much going to adhere to that as well. So I imagine more flat tracks and more runs. Um, Harry Brook got 99 in that first innings, and then the first ball duck in the second innings. So a bit of a weird old game, but
Very Ollie Pope of him.
yeah, yeah. Um, But it was a very odd innings. He was caught off a no ball at the end of day two. I think he was dropped about three times. But still finished on 99, so you take him. I think also quietly, I say quietly, Jamie Smith had a very good game of the bat,
Mhm.
40 in the first innings, and then very assuredly saw the team
Yeah.
home in the second innings, 44 or 55. And that could have been, tense times when Stokes went when he still needed 73. But the fact that Smith came in and looked like something quite an experienced player
Mhm.
coming out and saw off the runs, I thought it's really quite a good positive going forward. I don't think his keeping was great in the game, but I thought his batting looked really good.
Yeah, I can't remember who the opening bat was. It Sudarsson or I think it was Sudarsson in the first innings that's looked a bit nervy compared to when Jamie Smith comes out in
Hmm.
the situation just after Stokes is gone. You feel
Yeah,
like that's India's best time to take the game by the scruff of the neck and
yeah,
be ruthless.
yeah,
If they're going to win, it's going to be now.
yeah,
And I know their bowling wasn't particularly
yeah.
pinpoint or threatening, but Smith didn't look worried at all. He just looked very
No,
composed,
no,
like
really
he'd
good.
been there before and was just fitting in.
Yeah,
And like for the rest of the inning, it just matched the rest of the innings as well. And it wasn't until that last over when we needed like 12 to win that he just went, ah, screw it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
Bazball
well,
time.
yeah, yeah. And he'd earned that time to have a go as well because he'd done all the hard work. Yeah, I
Mhm,
thought it's really good. I mean, the whole innings and the whole kind of batting lineup is kind of just like clicking as well.
mhm.
Like it feels like, well, that's our top seven. I say our because we're in the squad, but that's the top seven. And we're going to talk about the Ashes, but like it felt last time when we won in Australia, it was very much you knew what the top seven was going to be. It was kind of Strauss, Cook, Trott, Peterson, Bell, Collingwood, Pryor. And the fact that this top seven picks itself as well, not necessarily just for the Ashes, but
Mhm,
just necessary for the team as a whole, can only be a good thing in the sense that, well, that's a settled lineup.
mhm.
And very briefly, Australia at the moment are, falling apart in the West Indies. Currently 155 for eight, in case you're wondering. Um, and they've got a current top order of Sam Constas, Usman Khawaja, Cameron Green, and Josh Inglis. So that kind of tells you very different muddled minds.
Keep my Uzi's name out of your fucking mouth. Don't.
Yeah, but you gotta look at the names around him. It's very, Cameron Green batting at three is weird. Josh Inglis sunny at four is odd. Sam Constas is only 19 and sunny is they're banking on him. Whilst England is just that's our top seven and that's going to be it for a while.
Yeah.
But not to make everything about Australia.
Like, I know we've been saying England need to do that reset for ages, and it doesn't
Yeah.
really feel like they have, but I think, especially maybe with the bowlers a bit more, seeing as Tung and
Mm.
Kaas and Bashir all played this game, and
Yeah.
like it feels sort of understated. Maybe it's gone under the radar that we've missed it,
Yeah.
and that Australia need to do something similar, but sort of floundering around to find players to that are good enough
Searching.
to
Yeah.
fit in there, and are still having to play. Like Marnus is still decent, but he's
Yeah.
not the
But he's been
player you
dropped
sh
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like he shouldn't be opening in a World Test Championship
No,
final.
absolutely not. No.
And like Smith's not the same, still excellent. He's just not up to
And
his
he's
world beater mad
yeah.
standards from ages ago. I'm not saying drop him because I think he'll probably score a few hundreds in the Ashes and win
Yeah.
Australia a couple of games.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see Australia are at their end of an era. England are
Yeah.
kind of entering a new era. The quality sort of around the same
Yeah.
level. It's just how that sort of shakes out.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I feel like England also have options in reserve. We speak about Jacob Bethel, but you feel like you have people who could come in. But I feel like you say, Australia kind of searching for that next person, and then the next person, replace our fave Uzi, who's got to, go at some point. Ben Duckett is all right.
He is an England cricketer that
He is.
opens in Test match.
He is. I've heard this. saying that is being bounced around so much, or this quote has been bounced around as much as Ado Rashid's 10 first class hundreds, in that the question has to be asked, is Ben Duckett the best all form opener in world cricket right now? Do you think he is?
I don't think I'm fully prepared or equipped to answer that question.
I
It
mean,
it is a resounding I don't fucking know. Is he in really
yeah,
good form at the minute? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Is he Usman Khawaja? No, he's probably better.
At this stage, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, yeah, I mean, 149 in that second innings and was brilliant. You know, he played that
Mhm.
reverse hit, reverse sweep, whatever, for six, which was an incredible shot. Um, yeah, 149 of 170 really set the tone. Was at least supported by Crawley. Um, was bizarre on the second on the evening of the day four, in that he left two balls in a row from Bumrah, I think,
Mhm.
which is very, you know, Duckett's been renowned for not
Yeah.
leaving, which is very weird. So that's a win for India. Um, just yeah, I mean, he looks like he's every time he's batting at the moment, it just feels like he's getting runs,
Hmm.
and it's safety that we've not had at the top of the order for a while. And I feel like, you know, Crawley and Duckett are quite quickly, not necessarily at the stage yet, but they are absolutely the best opening partnership since Cook and Strauss.
Yeah, and it feels like they've been given a lot of time and a lot of patience to gel and mold together,
Yeah.
work out each other's games,
Hmm.
work out how quickly each other run between the wickets as well, so they know where there's a
Yeah.
single, where there's a two.
A really good understanding.
Yeah. It feels like they complement each other fairly well in terms of style.
Yeah.
I still think it's probably remains to be seen if Crawley is the guy to open, but and I'll always hold a candle for Hassi Hamid. So there's that, but
Yeah.
they've been given enough time that like the partnership and the gelling together seems to be it's
For
working
sure.
so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to stick with them, you know, for as long as they can do, really.
Mhm,
They put on 188, and I kind of went back of all the other games before this because I couldn't really find the opening partnership stats, but it's very few and far between you find an innings where England were like
mhm,
4 for 1. I know they were in this game, but like pretty much all the other ones you're looking at like, oh, they put on 40 or 50
yeah,
or 70, and it feels like long gone are the days where England were like 8 for 2, you know, and it felt like where Root was coming in all the
mhm,
time with nothing on, and he came in this innings I think after about 40 odd overs, I think, and that's perfect for Root. The ball's softer, there's less pressure, and he can just easily go about his way, and
mhm,
it's perfect for England, perfect for Root. And you know, a lot of that is down to Duckett. Some more stats just to round off our stats. In terms of the all-round best opener in international cricket, he's currently at 34 tests, 2,600 runs, an average of 43, and a strike rate of 86. It's pretty good.
mhm,
ODIs, 25 games, about 1,200 runs, rounding it up for him. Average of 49, strike rate of 105. He's played 20 T20s, average of 29, strike rate of 153, and 350s. So consistent. And I think the good thing about Duckett as well, he's not necessarily a player who has to change his game per
mhm,
format. He can just play how he is and then choose at a point where he needs to up the rate a bit, but never really change his setup or anything, which I think
yeah,
is ideal.
yeah. Like you always, I know you mentioned those balls against Bumrah that he left,
Yeah,
but like he's always looking to get bat on ball and sometimes
yeah,
to his detriment, but I think
yeah,
that's just a part of his game and a like an advantage of his game. It's good to watch for the
yeah.
neutral, for fans, because you know something's if something doesn't happen that ball, you're
Hmm.
like he's giving you like a little teaser that something could
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like I
No,
think it was 20 odd fours in that
something like that.
second innings. It's
Yeah,
like that's over half of his run.
yeah, yeah,
So like you kind of have to I think from a England's data guys kind of have to look at that as like, is he like what's what's the right phrasing? Like saving himself
Mm,
in terms of like fatigue and all of that by just like staying on strike and taking the fours
yeah,
or but but then the way he plays sort of suggests that's not true because he always wants to
he's
score
always
and to
right.
get
Yeah,
his bat on the ball and
yeah, bat and ball.
find something. It's
He's a very good player. One of the
yeah.
things I really thought was good in comparatively, the way he was reverse sweeping with literal ease the entire game, and then you have Stokes come in and try and do the reverse sweeping and then look completely all at sea doing
Mhm.
it. And I think, people say that, oh, why was Stokes playing that shot? But he's just seen Duckett play it really well and then struggle with it. So I think that's a real testament to how, in good nick and how good player Duckett is at the moment, in that he makes that look completely easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Like if there's anyone that you can rely on to play a reverse sweep or a switcher, it's usually Ben Stokes.
yeah, yeah,
So if he's struggling, then it's and someone else isn't, and you just
yeah,
know
exactly.
how good nick that other person is in.
No, yeah, it's great. Yeah, so he's long may that form continue. But I think that kind of wraps it up. So good game was had. Next go on starts on the Wednesday next week. I'm gonna say maybe.
Mhm.
Um, we've talked about India. Do you think England would make any changes? I don't know if they've announced the squad yet. But the other squad players they had in this game, I think, was Jamie Overton and Sam Cook,
Mhm.
and obviously Jacob Bethel, and Bethel's not going to play anymore. Um, there was talk before the series that Jofra could be in tension for the second test. Um, I'm not sure whether they will risk him after just one game, but if that was the chat, then maybe. What would you do?
I think there's an opportunity for one bowling change.
Hmm.
Probably Wokes. He wasn't completely at his best,
Yeah,
but maybe you can just sort of write it off as he's getting into a bit of rhythm. It's only the
yeah,
first game. Wokes in England always performs at some point, so
yeah,
maybe give him the next game and see how he goes before changing. But I think that's the only opportunity for change.
yeah,
In the side, Carson, Cast did okay.
yeah,
Bashir did okay. Tongue did pretty well
yeah,
overall. Stokes did a decent job, especially
yeah. Stokes bowl well.
first
Yeah,
innings. Actually, it always seemed like whenever Stokes came on, the ball just suddenly did
so
more
he did
than
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
every
for
other
sure.
ball.
Yeah, and it looks such a better bowling side when he's actually
Mhm.
bowling basically 90 miles an hour. It just, yeah, much more balanced. I mean, I think maybe they might have a look at Jamie Overton. I think more so than like Sam Cook. I don't really see Sam Cook getting a gig this series. Um, but I think they quite like the idea of Jamie Overton coming in. But I think that would leave their attack quite inexperienced without
Mhm.
Wokes. So maybe he would come in for Cast and they rotate, or maybe he does come in for Tongue, or maybe Jofra does come back. Who knows? Um, believe it when we see it. But he did
Yeah,
bowl well against Durham.
I still don't believe that was a real game. I think it's just a very realistic cricket game. Cricket
Yeah,
captain's gone really
gone
high
skew.
gear. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see. I mean, I think if it was we are living in a weird reality, I would say bring him back for Lords. I think would be my sense. So it's Edgbaston next, and then Lords is the next one. Because I think Edgbaston and then Lords are back to back games. So I imagine there'll be some rotation after that one.
yeah. And I think
Um,
similar to Bumrah, it makes sense for us to rest someone like Josh Dung as well, because he's had injury issues. So
True. Yeah.
if the myth of Jofra is actually a thing,
Impending.
if he's a real person and not
Yeah.
injured or imaginary,
Yeah.
then like doing Jofra for Tongue every one
Yeah.
or two test matches seems like a sensible bit of rotation.
Yeah.
Or even like Cass isn't particularly, I wouldn't say injury prone, but has he not had a few injuries
He
himself?
had a toe injury, I think. I'll have to change the story, but he had crazy thought process where
Mm,
he thought, well, at this toe injury, maybe I could just chop off this toe and it'd be easy, but we'll get over it quicker.
yeah.
Um,
But that's also forgetting Wood, who is also
yeah,
infamously injured a lot.
yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
assuming Tongue Joffre and Wood are all fit at the same time,
which is
it
ridiculous.
yeah, which is not a reality that we live in. It
Yeah,
would only make sense to rotate them all,
yeah,
or even if just two of them are fit at the same time,
yeah.
that's where your rotation comes
Mad.
in.
Imagine a squad for the Ashes where you're picking Joffre, Wood, Cass, Tongue, Atkinson, and they're all fit.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like you said, the top seven is pretty much
Yeah,
set for the Ashes.
yeah.
What is our preferred bowling
Oh, it's so hard to
attack
know
for
what
that?
Joffre would be. Um, I think that they'll take Wokes, as bizarre as that sounds. I think Wokes will go.
Hmm.
Just because in couple last few seasons in Australia, the ball has done a bit more than it would have done previously. So I think they will take Wokes, which feels ridiculous. But Wokes will go. But I think in an ideal universe, you're looking at Atkinson, Wood, Cass, Bashir, and Stokes. I think would be their
Hmm.
go-to, and then you would rotate the likes of Tongue and Joffre as pitches allow across the series.
Hmm.
I think. And then if Atkinson went down, then Wokes would come in. I think that's how they would go. I may be
I
completely wrong.
I would like to throw in a bit of a curveball.
Go on.
So Australia famously had this really good leg spinner.
Hmm.
So I mean maybe having a leg spinner of our own,
He'll be
that's
in the squad.
yeah,
Be
that
in the
is
squad.
batting quite well at the minute.
Free
To
first class
come in the
offers.
order after just after Ben Stokes would be quite good. And then
Yeah,
you can
and
have your three seamers coming after that. You could have two of
yeah,
Jofra Tongue Wood or two Jofra Wood Tongue and Cars,
yeah.
and then have a bit more of a traditional
I do wonder
swing
though.
bowler like Cook or Wokes.
Yeah, I wonder whether
Because I
Rayan
just
is,
don't think Bashir's gonna go down well.
but it also spin's
But
not being too prevalent in Australia either, so they may not even play a spinner. They might play four seamers, five seamers, and then root.
but
I
that's
don't.
kind of why my brain is saying leg spin. Because
We'll
they
see.
do they not traditionally get more spin on the ball and I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe Warren was the anomaly and
yeah.
I'm a dumbass, which is
I
the big more likely outcome.
we'll see. I mean, there's a weird chance. I like the universe potential that Rayan might follow. I mean, it'd be great if he followed in Warren's footsteps and became the best leg spinner in the world. I don't think necessarily that would happen. I think it'd be a handy leg spinner. I think a fun alternative reality or a current reality is that you follow the Steve Smith route, start as a leg spinner, and then turn into a very good batter.
That could be
But
fun.
we will see. It is currently runs at Leicester at the moment rather than less runs for England. But you know, the runs I saw some of his runs at the last the other day. He just looks a very confident, accomplished batter at the moment. So I'm glad that Leicester are given the opportunity to set the order. But yeah, we'll see what Rayan does. Um, I think that's kind of everything I've got cricket wise. Australia are currently 178 for nine, in case you're wondering. Shamal Joseph has got 446 and Jaden Seals has got 458. So that's going well. Um,
I definitely asked. Yes, thank you.
we're covering live cricket. So when you listen to this, this cricket will not be live, but this is at our current time period. It is. How exciting. But that's all cricket. Is there any just not cricks today, or are we gonna
Yeah, I thought a bit of more of a vibey one, just how we go with it. I
go
thought we'd
on?
have a little bit of a book club to see
Oh,
how we're
okay.
going. So I don't know how discussion is going to go in general. I don't know really how to
Sure.
start
Yeah.
it, but sort of around February time, I was like, I was had a good spell of reading. Last year, I
Nice.
didn't read loads of books, so I told myself, I'm one for one
Yeah.
month-wise. I'm going to try and get through that for the
Yeah.
whole year. I'm not
Oh, good.
keeping up. I'm only one behind, so I can
Okay.
keep it up for now. But I don't know where I'm going with the conversation. This is why
So,
I
how
don't
many
know
books
how.
have you read this year?
So I've got five.
You got five. So
I
you're
have.
one behind. So okay,
I am
yeah.
one behind. I've
Okay.
I've got props.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I started with God Killer, which you gave
Yeah.
me around
Yeah.
Christmas time,
Yeah.
which is all right.
Yeah. It does the
I
job.
yeah, exactly. It does a job. It's not something I want to go back to or follow the
Yeah.
series
It's
on,
yeah.
especially because you've read the second book and
Yeah.
told me it's a bit.
Yeah.
It goes in a direction that it shouldn't.
Yeah. I agree. And yeah, I don't think it's you split off the most interesting characters from the other and sort of like why we do this. But yeah, anyway, it's fine.
Yeah. So next, I had it was another. I think it was a birthday present, but a book called Japanese Myths
Oh,
and
nice. Yeah.
Religion,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
really interesting. Do not remember loads from it
Yeah.
because a lot of
Nice.
information.
Yeah.
Um, I think there was another Japanese language learning
Yeah.
book. Next was the Yiddish Policeman's Union by
Oh.
Michael Chabon, which
Did you get
is
some of these when you visited us, or is this different books? You've not read those yet.
I've read one of the ones
Okay.
that I got visiting us, visiting you.
Ah.
We are us now. I have my own
Yeah.
room at your house, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Yiddish Policeman's Union is really good. It doesn't sort of
Cool.
have a traditional ending, but like a detective noir
Yeah.
set in an alternative reality where
Yeah.
the Jews didn't go to Israel after World War II. They
Okay.
went to Alaska, and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it's a really cool just setting and like the iconography and the linguistics of it's all is
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
Most recently, I've read Clara and the Sun, which is a
Okay.
really nice sci-fi slash coming of age, but you don't really get to the like the adulthood.
Yeah.
If anything, it's about a humanoid AI being bought by a family to just be a companion to a sick little girl, and it's
Yeah.
just very well written and easy to read.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Have you been reading anything
Have I read
recently?
anything?
What's your last book?
Poppy War. I think I mentioned this to you a little while
Hmm.
ago. Um, so it's yeah, it's good. It deals a lot with its fantasy elements. It's got gods and stuff there. It kind of deals a lot from um Chinese kind of
Hmm.
inspirations and stuff. It's fun. Delves a lot because I want to. For those who don't know, I did creative writing at university. I'd like to write kind of a fantasy kind of book, and I currently am doing bits which deals with like gods and things like that. So seeing how they're dealt with in both God Killer and then
Hmm.
this is quite interesting. And I think Poppy War does it an awful lot better. And it goes in more in interesting places and kind of darker
Hmm.
places in the fantasy stuff. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I've only just started the second book. I can't remember what the second book is called. There are
Hmm.
three of them, but getting there slowly. But I kind of want to start doing more kind of like non-fiction and more like historical stuff
Hmm.
because I want to be. I feel like I did history at school and was sort of like, yeah, this is all right. But I've now got to the stage now where I just kind of want to know everything, and I just want to
Yeah.
like read all the history things and like I'm fascinated by like things from the Anglo-Saxon periods and
Hmm.
Alfred the Great and stuff like that, that kind of period.
Yeah.
And then also like the Medicis of Italy and the Renaissances
Hmm.
and stuff. So I just want to know everything. And it's that's the
Yeah.
sense. Um, but
Like
we'll see.
that.
We'll get to
Yeah.
it.
That's what I appreciated about the Japanese religion
Yeah,
book. Like it had all of the mythology and the stories from that like
yeah,
scattered around, but you got to learn a bit of Confucianism
yeah.
and like Buddhism and sort of you could you were told like how it came from India through China to
That's cool.
Japan and how there isn't like a residing religion in
Yeah,
Japan because of it.
mhm,
It's just they're just kind of, oh, cool. That's a new god we
yeah,
can add to the pantheon. Come on
yeah.
in.
Nice.
But yeah, like I was very much with you. I'd like to get more into non-fiction just to
Yeah,
learn about stuff
yeah.
that I'm interested in.
For sure, because
Like
it's
I,
just
yeah.
there's just so much. Yeah, and like the Waterstones near where I work in central London, it's just got such a huge like section for
Hmm.
history. So maybe I'll go there next week and or tomorrow, and then next week's pod it'll be like, look at my props. um, but we'll see. But no, I'll try and bring more next time to Book Corner if that's going to be a recurring feature
I mean, I
potentially.
think maybe.
Yeah,
Who
could be.
knows?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
like
I'll be
have
more
you
prepared next time for more
yeah,
books.
maybe. Yeah, we'll see. Um so like is there ever been a book that you've just hated so much that you're like anti recommending it or like that you've not been able to finish because it's just so exhausting
There's been a
or
few
demanding?
because I mean I've got a wife who works in publishing
Mhm,
and gets the joy of being able to bring a lot of kind of free books and stuff. And there's quite a few I've tried and some of them have been a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about that. But then sometimes you'll find a gem you weren't expecting. There's been a few I've not been able to just kind of finish. I've got kind of halfway through
mhm,
and then just sort of like giving up because I really enjoy fantasy, but sometimes I just feel like it's hard to do fantasy very good
mhm,
or like in a way that is original. That's why I think Poppy War is quite good in the sense that it feels both kind of historical and fantastical. So it's that's and sense I like. Um, have you ever read? Let me just make sure I'm getting the right name of it. That'll be a clue. Um, The Name of the Wind
no, but it
by
rings a
Patrick Rothfuss.
bell.
Yeah, so it's part of the King Killer Chronicle. So
Oh, I think you've recommended the this series before.
yeah, so I very much recommend because it's been the best book I've read, I think, in
Hmm.
anything I've read in ages. I mean, the problem was so the King Killer it came out in 2007,
Hmm.
and then the second one came out in 2011, and there's a third book that's supposed to be coming out, and it's still not come out. And that's the kind of sense where I'm a bit like, I guess it's a George R. R. Martin syndrome in the sense that these first two books have been so good, and this world is so rich and full of great characters, and it's just it's very rare for me to get a book and always be excited to be reading it and want to read it and stuff like that. And that book was very much it.
Yeah.
But now I've read both of them and loved them both, and now I'm in this situation where I'm like, well, I only was introduced to them in like last few years, and then the actual fans of them who love them
Yeah.
have been waiting since 2011. And I'm sort of like, well, I've only had a few years of this. I'm like, is this going to affect my enjoyment of it? Because I'm like, is this ever going to be finished? So I don't know. I guess that's also a sense of it, but I would still recommend them. I think they're great. Um, what about you? Is there a book you've ever hated and you just want to be like, nah,
Yes, I it might be controversial
go on?
because it's considered a classic,
Mhm.
but it is the worst pile of every type of excrement you can
Oh gosh,
imagine.
okay.
But specifically for this book, whale excrement.
Oh,
M
okay.
Moby Dick
Moby
can
Dick.
go eat a bag of Moby Dicks. It is, I don't care how acclaimed or beloved this is. It is god fucking awful. I
Oh
cannot
gosh.
handle it. It's just so boring.
I've never read it, so I can't have an opinion.
I do not. Please
Okay.
don't. You will tear your hair and eyes and teeth out.
Oh
It's
no.
such a frustrating book because every now and then there's like character interactions. They're like, oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I quite like this. And then the author will go like, well, we're doing whale hunting and this is why
yeah.
it's okay. And like,
What?
maybe, yeah. Like, I think it's meant to be a commentary on some shit or other,
Sure.
but it didn't read that way.
No.
And then you'll have a chapter on whale anatomy or like ambergris. And it's like, I don't care.
No. What?
This is,
Okay. Okay.
I know this
But now
might
you know.
be like satire or
Sure.
something when it was written, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
awful.
mind-numbing nonsense to
Did you
me.
finish it?
Yes, I
Oh
was not
no.
letting that bastard beat me.
Win. Oh no. So Moby Dick fans.
Go fuck yourselves. I unsubscribe.
Devastating. I wasn't expecting it to come to Moby Dick, but gosh. Fair enough.
No one ever does.
No, no one ever does. Maybe there is a book that I've hated, and maybe I'll try and remember it for next time. But I can't think of anything that I've hated as much as you hate Moby Dick.
To
Maybe
be
that'd be a
fair,
recurring thing.
when I hate something, I do go all in on it.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think Moby deserves it.
Okay, maybe we'll get Moby Dick merch for the next
Yeah.
next pod.
Moby Dick is worse than Rings of Power.
Wow.
I would rather rewatch Rings of Power than reread Moby Dick.
Would you watch Willingly season 2 of Rings of Power rather than reread Moby Dick?
Yes.
Nice. That kind of well, that sums it up to me. Blimey.
Mm.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Wow, blimey. I'll have a think. If I want to see if there's something that will enrage me as much, but I'm not sure.
It doesn't
We'll
even
see.
have to be a book, just enrages
It could
you.
be any
We
form of
can
media. If
we
yeah,
can just have a nice little rant and rage and a nice bit
yeah,
of
it's cathartic.
catharsis. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. If you're still listening at this point, if there's a book or a film or a TV show or a comic or whatever that you've read or watched or listened to, um, that you absolutely despise and the levels of Moby Dick, let us know and we'll maybe shout out a few next time.
at just not CritPod on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's the one. And that's the social media shout out. So I guess we're done.
That's the most professional I've ever been with the
That was a
socials,
segue. What a link that was.
right?
But yeah, we'll be back next week. Maybe to preview the next test or whatever, or maybe if this West Indies Australia one is fun, maybe we'll have a special guest. We'll see. Um, but yeah, that's all from me. Have you got anything from you?
Um, I think now with Stuart Broad launching his podcast with Joss Butler,
Yeah.
if there are any former England cricket seamers that would
Yeah.
like to join us so we can rival the tailenders as we are meant to
Yeah.
for the best cricketing podcast with a former England cricket
Yeah.
legend, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Um, I want
Applications are
I,
open.
Woody would be great.
He's got his own podcast.
Well, fuck you, Mark. Then
We'll have to ask around, see which England cricketers we know. It probably end up being Monty.
I quit the pod.
We'll see you next time.